Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thanks for joining us for Big Fox News. I'm Scott Beadle. An employee with Anchor Glass in Elmira is dead after being trapped in a silo Sunday night. After attempts to rescue the employee failed, police are trying to determine the cause of the incident. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst is in Corning with the latest in our top story.
Good evening, Scott. A preliminary investigation found an accident was the cause of Sunday's incident at Anchor Glass. The incident began when an employee was working on an issue inside the silo. On Sunday, fire and rescue crews were called to Anchor Glass after an employee became trapped in a silo. According to the Chemung County Sheriff's Office, Guy Peck was working in the building's batch house when he noticed a problem with silo number 7. Upon entering the silo, Peck became trapped in the lime powder encased inside. Peck was declared dead at the scene after failed rescue attempts by coworkers and fire crews. Hundreds of residents sent their condolences on Facebook after the incident. One post from a former coworker said Guy was a great person with a heart of gold. Another man related his experience working in a batch house, saying that it's a dangerous position. A preliminary investigation determined the incident to be a workplace accident and not a criminal matter. The sheriff's office will be working with OSHA to continue investigating the matter. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
2 people are out of a home after a massive fire in Morris Run, Pennsylvania Saturday night. Fire crews were first called to the burning trailer home around 8 p.m. By the time they arrived, the building was fully engulfed in flames. 2 people were rescued from the trailer home, one of whom suffered from third-degree burns and smoke inhalation. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The 5th and final criminal case opened against former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, stemming from a state investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct, has closed. Today, the Oswego County DA's office confirmed this, seemingly ending any chances the disgraced governor might face charges in the fallout. In a statement, the Oswego District Attorney said, after a thorough review of the available evidence and applicable law, the Oswego County District Attorney's Office has concluded that there is not a sufficient legal basis to bring criminal charges against former Governor Andrew Cuomo based upon the allegations of unwanted physical contact made by Virginia Limiatis. Cuomo resigned last August following a report detailing allegations of inappropriate behavior and sexual harassment by 11 women. Cleanup continues at the site of a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. Today, crews removed one of the cars that plunged into a ravine when the 50-year-old Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed Friday. No one was killed, but 10 people were treated for minor injuries. Several cars and a bus were on the bridge when it fell, and today, a hazmat crew was removing diesel fuel from the Port Authority bus over fears that fuel could leak into the ravine. Officials also announced a public observation area near the site to give curious people a safe spot to view the collapse. Coronavirus cases appear to be peaking in the U.S., but the death toll continues to rise significantly. Jonathan Seri has more from Atlanta.
The Omicron surge is finally peaking. We're seeing a big reduction in cases nationwide. The daily average is now just over 500,000, down from more than 900,000 just 2 weeks ago. Hospitalizations are also decreasing significantly in former COVID hotspots like New York and Los Angeles. But doctors and health officials say with the Super Bowl right around the corner, now is not the time to let your guard down.
I'll just caution people to be very thoughtful about Super Bowl parties. I wouldn't necessarily have crowded parties.
But in other areas, health officials are still waiting for the lower case counts to translate into relief for overworked hospitals.
We see our hospitals here in Minnesota have been overwhelmed for months and months and months, and it's just not sustainable.
Meanwhile, new studies awaiting peer review suggest Omicron infections may offer only limited immunity against reinfection. Scientists now warning that could mean several months of low infection numbers followed again by another spike in cases. All this as the death toll in America climbs higher than it did during the Delta wave.
Last week, just as many Americans died from Omicron as did during the highest peak in Delta. It's not over with, but again, we need to understand that this is something that's going to be with us for a while.
The U.S. government has obtained an additional 100 million COVID tests as Omicron continues to increase demand. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
The Northeast is cleaning up after this weekend's major winter storm, but continued cold temperatures could hamper those efforts. Molly Line has more.
The weekend's nor'easter is gone, but parts of the East Coast are still digging out from record amounts of precipitation.
We got 16 inches here, give or take a couple inches.
Bitter cold temperatures are not making things any easier on cleanup efforts. Today, highs across the New England area are expected to stay below freezing. Here in Massachusetts, regional shelters and warming centers have been set up for those wanting to escape the harsh conditions.
We're New Englanders. This is what we live for. We are perfectly happy being snowed in, and we are perfectly capable of getting ourselves out.
Forecasters say the storm's dry snow was less capable of downing trees and power lines. Still, more than 100,000 customers lost power at the height of the storm. Utility crews have been working around the clock to get much of the electricity restored.
Enduring 10 hours of blizzard conditions has put a strain on our emergency responders and on our public works crews, obviously. The public works crews work straight through.
Meanwhile, airlines are hoping to get back in the air after a weekend of cancellations.
The flight was canceled because the plane coming in from the East Coast to Milwaukee never made it there.
On Sunday, more than 1,500 flights were canceled and thousands more delayed. Delta, American Airlines, and Southwest were among those most affected. Forecasters say another storm will bring precipitation from Texas to the Great Lakes later on this week. In Stoughton, Massachusetts, Molly Line, Fox News.
Horsehead's annual St. Patrick's Parade is making its grand return to the region this March. Organizers officially announced the return of the parade on Sunday, marking the first time Horseheads will hold the parade since 2019. Those who are interested in taking part in the parade can find applications on the group's Facebook page. The parade is set for the 12th of March. Still ahead tonight, with staff shortages persisting in classrooms around the country, some National Guard volunteers are stepping in to help. More on the latest efforts to keep students in classrooms instead of trying to learn remotely.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Hi everyone, welcome back. This weather forecast is being brought to you by William Mattar. Not much in the way of snow showers in our area for today. It has been pretty pleasant. A few light snow showers to the north of us right around Watertown. But aside from that, we'll just see some clouds in place. What is staying around is the very cold air. Our temperatures tonight will be in the single digits as we drop down to about 9 degrees for our overnight low temperature. And you can certainly see the feel-like temperature. It's going to feel a little bit colder than that. High pressure in control of our weather for Tuesday. You can see the high far off toward the north and east. So that's going to keep that cold air in place for the next couple of days, especially at night. We will be tracking a major snowstorm that is going to affect us by the middle of the week, going toward the end of the week. Got a lot of moisture that is headed our way. Let's kind of pinpoint that moisture on our future radar. We're doing good for tonight. Again, it is going to stay dry tonight. Not expecting any precipitation for us tonight. As we head into Tuesday, the start of the day on Tuesday looks great as well. We work our way through the day on Tuesday afternoon, still doing good, but then we began to see the return of the moisture coming back. You can see those clouds starting to streak in 3 o'clock on Wednesday. Going into Wednesday afternoon, there comes the moisture. You can see all of those clouds coming back, and that cold air is in place, so we've got some overrunning and we will definitely see a mixed bag of precipitation. You can see widespread areas, freezing rain, snow, snow showers in place for our day on Thursday. So we will be monitoring this because this could be a significant snowstorm that will impact us as we get toward the end of the week. For the rest of your forecast for tonight, we're just looking at partly cloudy skies. That wind chill is going to feel like about 10 below out there because we do have a gusty southeast wind at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So that definitely is going to make it feel even more uncomfortable. Your forecast for tomorrow will warm up nicely during the day as our temperatures are pretty much on target for this time of the year, 37, but some very gusty southeast winds, and we could see those winds gusting up to 25 miles per hour. So when you factor that in, it's going to feel a lot colder out there. Let's take a look at the next couple of days to give you an idea of what we're talking about. So staying sunny and pretty mild for your day on Tuesday, up to about 37. Overnight temperatures will be in the upper 20s as you go through the day into Wednesday morning.
Numbers and statistics are critical when it comes to measuring the impacts of the pandemic. Now, new data is showing whether Americans believe the pandemic will ever end and their level of trust in scientific research. Paul Stevens reports.
New data from the National Opinion Research Center finds most Americans believe COVID-19 will never be fully wiped out, with only 15% saying it will be eradicated. Instead, 83% say COVID-19 is here to stay, but will consider the pandemic over if the coronavirus becomes mild like the flu.
We're just going to eventually have to say, well, this is it's the flu and the COVID season instead of just the flu season.
The study also found the Omicron variant is causing more people to revert back to intensive safety precautions, with 64% reporting they're back to avoiding large groups, up by 7% from December.
I'm not even that confident that the virus is going to become milder in the end. I mean, that's the next great hope, but it's still a giant threat 2 years running.
Meanwhile, the National Opinion Research Center is also revealing the results of its latest general social survey, where analysts found Americans' trust in science could be impacted by their political ideology, with 64% of Democrats having a great deal of confidence in the scientific community compared to 34% of Republicans. Experts say trusting or not trusting scientific health data can impact someone's decision to get a vaccine or booster shot.
The reception has been very tepid to getting boosted. But again, like all of COVID, science changes rapidly.
The CDC saying at least 40% of fully vaccinated people have received a booster shot.
It was the most destructive fire in Colorado history. The Marshall Fire started on December 30th, and many families in Boulder County lost everything. One form of emotional therapy being offered to them is something known as horse therapy. Courtney Fromm has more.
I'm not doing a whole lot. This is all you guys.
9-year-old Avery Hopper.
Yeah, hold her right there. And she's kind of slow, but she'll come with you.
Has had a tough few weeks dealing with normal kid stuff.
I got braces, and that's just making it harder because I can't eat very much.
On top of that, Mom Allie knows how fresh the memory of the Marshall Fire still is for her daughters.
That day, if you don't mind reliving it for me.
How do you feel about that?
It's okay.
Okay.
Their home, one of many that burned down in the Sagamore neighborhood.
It just all happened really fast, so we just had to really run from the house with nothing.
But today, the thought of rebuilding for many families who lost everything disappeared with each new horse stepping into the arena. From brushing,
he is really warm. He soaks up the sun, doesn't he?
To walking.
Somebody's leading a horse.
There's something magical about the nonverbal connection with these beautiful animals.
I don't know. It's just kind of regulating, like make me not think about other things.
It's kind of a hard thing to describe.
Allison McCabe, a therapist here at Medicine Horse,
there you go,
knows these few moments, no matter how big or small the horse, they help people slow down.
They know how to be with people. And they get scratches, which they like too.
So kids like Avery and her little sister.
It was nice because, like, Sometimes I can't stop thinking about the bad things that have been happening.
And even her mom and dad.
Gosh, we're so grateful for the break from all the paperwork.
Have a resource to cope with the grief.
You know, all of the chaos in the world right now, it sort of feels like it's been paused for this area.
And begin writing forward from such an incredible loss.
Staffing shortages in some of our nation's schools have become so severe that even members of the National Guard are being called in to help. It's part of an effort to keep students in the classroom instead of trying to learn at home. Madison Allworth has more.
With staff shortages persisting in classrooms, volunteers and even the National Guard are being asked to step in to fill in for teachers. Disruptions to learning like this are definitely not good. It keeps the classroom open, but at what cost? President Biden is touting how 95% of public schools are now fully open, but many are relying on those volunteers and underqualified substitutes. In New Mexico, the governor is calling on the National Guard to volunteer to become licensed substitute teachers as schools struggle to stay open. Since winter break, approximately 60 school districts and charter schools have needed to move to temporary remote learning because of staff shortages. In Hamburg Central School District in New York, staff has worked hard to hit their goal of keeping schools open all 180 days. To do so, administrators have filled in for principals, retired teachers are being paid to work on a day-to-day basis, and college seniors that are studying education have been hired as substitutes. All of this to keep schools open. But the stopgap measures are not problem-free.
We have teachers in the classroom for multiple reasons. First of all, because they're subject matter experts. So having individuals in the classroom who have other duties and responsibilities outside of working with students, during some of these, difficult times, it doesn't help learning.
These efforts are preventing kids from being forced into virtual learning. So while the measures are not perfect, it is doing an important job. The effects of virtual and disrupted learning are still being understood, but take a look at this. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, graduation rates dropped in at least 20 states during the first full year of COVID-19 disruptions and virtual learning. All of this happening despite the distribution of $122 billion to schools for COVID-19 relief funding, leaving experts desperate for a change in our current school systems.
Lyft and Delta are updating their partnership to make traveling a little less stressful. Lyft will now have in-app flight status updates delivered to customers with linked Delta SkyMiles accounts. The Lyft app will be able to display a user's upcoming flight number, destination, boarding and departure time, and even the terminal and gate number. It's designed to help keep travelers informed about their flights while they make their way to the airport. A rare diamond that's just about the size of a softball could be yours. Ashley Strohmeyer has more on this dazzling gemstone that's going up for auction and why experts say it might be from outer space.
Weighing in at more than 555 carats, this rare black diamond called a carbonado is garnering a lot of attention.
Most carbonados are about 2.6 to 3.2 billion years old.
Because there's so few of them found, it's hard to know exactly where they come from. Some geologists say carbonados are formed deep below the surface of the Earth, far past the scope humans are able to drill, while others say these diamonds have close ties to the cosmos.
There's hypotheses that suggest that they formed at impact sites when a large asteroid hit Earth, causing carbon on the surface of the Earth to grow into these carbonados.
But no matter their origin, diamonds like this can hold unparalleled information about the composition of our planet and quite possibly our universe.
If they formed in the Earth, that tells us a lot about what deep Earth interior mineralogy is like. If it did come from space, what it would tell us is the evolution of our solar system.
The diamond is currently up for auction at Sotheby's, where officials say its fate is up to the buyer.
This is the type of piece that I think we could see potentially being in a museum. It could be with a private collector, whether it is used, meaning worn or adorned, perhaps unlikely.
The auction remains open until February 9th. The Carbonado diamond is expected to fetch anywhere between $4 to $7 million.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. Are you catching your breath from the NFL playoffs? They've been so good this year, haven't they? Before the biggest game, you can enjoy a playful pause for a purpose.
Is that true?
Animal Planet's endearing Puppy Bowl will be back for an 18th edition, right before Super Bowl Sunday's big game. More than 100 adoptable puppies from 67 shelters in 33 states will compete for your heartstrings, and they'll have a friendly playoff game to raise adoption awareness between Team Rough and Team Fluff. Plus, this year, rapper Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart will host. That's on Animal Planet on February 13th. It is always fun to watch the Puppy Bowl, and your dog will love it too. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.